Hey everyone, this is Jess with Lifeforceenergy, and I wanted to introduce to you my husband.
Hi, my name is Eric. We have been together for around 7 years now, and we've had some fantastic conversations that we just wanted to share with you guys and see what you guys think about it.
Yes, so yesterday we were talking about, because Halloween is just around the corner, and we were talking about like manifestation, casting spells, and what all that means, and how we have, since our relationship, his theories have been discussed quite often in other forums that we had discussed about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And that I was telling him like how much I've been learning and just interacting with other people about what it means to manifest and what spelling and everything is, why we cast spells.
That right there blew my mind. So yesterday, we all know what a spell is, to cast a spell, to manifest things of that nature, but how she interpreted it for me yesterday really made me connect in a different way that I have not yet at this time. So it was amazing. And later we will be talking about time and your perceptions of them, but getting ahead of ourselves, that's next week. So when you were telling me about spells yesterday, can you share with our audience what you said? Because it was very impactful for me on how you put it.
Thank you. Well, I was explaining to Eric was how on our birthdays, on our significant day, that we all have candles. And we're all singing happy birthday to you and many more. So not only are we taking that opportunity for the person's birthday, and they're going to use these candles and they're going to say a wish, a prayer, an intention, a manifestation, a spell, whatever way that they're going to place their strong emotions and thoughts into putting this thought into the universe. And so what I was explaining to him was that I go, how interesting is it that as we're growing up and as we celebrate our birthdays, we have candles on our cake, everyone is singing and speaking into our existence, surrounding us in song, in unison. They're casting a spell onto the birthday person by blessing them to live a longer life and to have a happy birthday. And then the person, after that song is placed, after everyone's singing in unison, that frequency of blessing and putting out into the universe to bless that birthday person, then the birthday person will go ahead and say their intention, their mind, their wish, whatever they want to use it as. And then they think it, they're holding it, and then what do? They blow their life force right into the candle. Mm-hmm. And as I had learned from my transformational breath teachers, that they were like, your breath, when you're taking in from the diaphragm and you're inhaling and exhaling, you're pushing out your life force. You're sending out a message to the universe of what it is that you desire to have so that it can create life based upon that intention, that manifestation, that affirmation, that prayer, and that spell work. So I was telling Eric, I go, how interesting. I remember when I was studying about manifestation that I was learning about spelling. Well, what is spelling?
Listen.
When we are spelling, we are casting out words. And what I learned when I was studying and teaching in my Bible studies and teaching women in my women groups back then, I was teaching them that our words have life or death. Mm-hmm. So everything we speak, whether we're writing, singing, or saying, or praying, or placing it in a candle, we are casting out energy to be set out forth so that we can create some kind of reality that we desire.
Absolutely. And then we were discussing how someone perceives the word spelling, right? So for me, it was very analytical. I was like, okay, I'm going to go from here where we're going to spell a word to casting a spell. I have a Celtic background, so spelling really hit me hard on that. I was like, wow, I never really put those two together. However, then we discussed things like when you're doing a prayer, is that really different than casting a spell? When we're doing an intention, is that really different than casting a spell? When we're doing a manifestation, or are these just different words?
They're synonyms,
really,
right? Let's think
just
about
sharing
that.
the same thing, but how you're willing to perceive it. Because if I'm talking to a very religious person, I'm not going to say casting a spell because they won't be willing to receive that. However, if I say we are going to pray on this, and I do mean it when I pray, absolutely. However, if I'm talking to someone else who's non-religious, I may say that it's an intention.
An intention,
I may
a
say it's a
command.
manifestation. We are commanding it. There are different ways that we can all say it, but it can still mean the same thing. So that correlation between those two yesterday blew my mind because I hadn't thought of it. Little background on me, when I was 3 years old, this is no joke, my family can verify this story. When I was 3 years old, I already knew about her. I never met her. This isn't the Topanga and Corey from way back in the day, that show there. But I knew about her then. I'm from Colorado. She's from California. At 30 years old, I had my family here. I had my best friend here. Here in Colorado is what I'm talking about. However, I still knew, because I was manifesting this individual, I knew she was out there, but I also knew she wasn't in Colorado yet. So I went back at 30 years old. So from 3 to 30, I went all the way to California to find her. Then at 36, well, at 32, I met her. We got married when I was 33. It all happened very quickly. Honestly, the first day that I met her, I could have married her at that moment. Very Dharma and great, right? However, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's the whole time thing. I'll talk about that later. Now, when we decided to move to California, I was 36. Literally went from one day to the next. She goes, hey, by the way, I think we should leave. It's on a Friday. She goes, Saturday morning, you should probably go to Colorado, and we should just go ahead and move there. So I left on Saturday morning, got here on Sunday, started work on Monday, and 30 days later, moved my entire family over here at 36.
But let me share, don't forget though, right before we told him, we had just done our moon ritual that same month in October.
Yes, we did.
And I was just being downloaded. I was just being led by spirit. And I think that was our first one that we did together.
Yes.
So what I did was I got a candle. We wrote down our intentions, manifestations, our spells, our affirmations,
However
our commands.
You want to word it.
But we were deeply set in emotion. We were ready to leave California because we were already given divine messages that it was time for us to go. And then other life issues started happening where it was like really prominent for us to start moving forward, but we didn't have the resources or the idea how that we can manifest this. So we went straight to our candle and wrote all of our desires.
Absolutely. And so that way when she could check when my manifestation, if it was real, if it was a pickup line, she met my grandmother. You want to share with the family or share with our audience what my family had told you. My grandmother told you when you'd met her, when I brought you to Colorado.
So I thought, okay, this is a really good line. He did share this with me when we were dating, amongst other things that he felt that he had visualized, that he had spoken in his prayers, and that he felt was following very avidly. So I come to visit his family in Colorado for the very first time, and I get to meet his family. Nervous. And as soon as his adorable, she looks like Sophia from the Golden Girls. Yeah. Oh my gosh, she's so cute and small and yet full of spirit and just filled with love. She opens up the door, embraces Eric, and then she embraces me like, oh my God, and she says, we've been waiting for you. We've been praying for you. He said that he was going to leave to find you. And we've been waiting for years. This is an answered prayer. I'm so glad you're here. So she said, with strong emotion, please, God, divine universe, Jesus, please send my grandson, her family, so I can have my family here with me. Because she's older and she wanted everyone around her. I mean, who wouldn't want that when you're very family driven? So I was like shocked. I was like, oh, he really wasn't BSing me. Like he really meant what he said. And oh my gosh, his grandparents and his family were saying that they had prayed so fervently for us to get here. So what the whole point is that our tongues can build up others. Our tongues can create our realities. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. And that was why I wanted to share this, because I was telling Eric, I'm like, oh my gosh, if it wasn't for your power of your tongue, your deep set thought and emotion placing into action, right? Because everything has to have some kind of momentum. You can't just think it and then drop it and be like, oh, well, I thought it and I hope it happens and let it go.
Right.
Energy, you got to possess the energy in your spell work, in your prayer, in your manifestation.
And something else that she shared with me is how consistent that is, right? Because if one day I go, hey, my wife is in California, and the next day I go, she's not in California, then I have then canceled
the energy.
I've then canceled that spell, that intention, that manifestation, but I never did. I knew that that was where I needed to go, that was where I was going to find my other half, right? So when you do a manifestation, when you do cast a spell, when you do use your tongue to say what you are thinking, be careful of our words, right? Something that we said jokingly yesterday, right? It's a nursery rhyme, right? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. What is that? It's a protection spell.
It's like
it's
you're
a
already speaking
manifestation.
the affirmation of boundary. Like,
Right.
I'm not going to allow
I'm canceling
you.
this. My energy is my own, and I share it with no one, right? That is something that we say, but that is no different than sticks and stones may break my bones and words shall never hurt me. That's saying your words will not hurt me. That's putting up a boundary. It's putting up a wall.
Words
right?
are powerful. Think about
Absolutely.
our celebrities,
Yes.
are the ones that do content. And so they're singing songs, and I want you guys to think about that and listen to the songs that they say. So some of the songs, which we all can align with, they share about their darkness and everything, but then some of them will even say words like, this will be the death of me, this will be this, or I will lose my mind, or I will never love again.
Right.
And then it's like, if you look at that person, that artist that spoke such powerful words with frequency behind the melody, right? And the words that they're casting, then it brought it into fruition. So even like when we listen to songs and we love certain jams and we love the artists, but certain words we'll tweak.
We'll tweak it because we don't want to say that this
We're
is going to
not
be
adding
the death
with their
of me.
spell. We're not.
We're saying that this is going to be the life of me.
That's right.
This is what brings me life. This is what brings me joy. This is what brings me everything, not the death of me. So we do want to be careful with what we say. Nobody's perfect at it. God knows I'm not. However, we are learning, her and I, myself specifically, what we say really truly does matter more than I've ever thought before. And even though I've already known about manifestations, even though I've already known about intentions, incantations, all those types of words, however you want to say it, yesterday it really struck a chord when she talked about we've been taught to spell our whole life. You go to school.
You're learning how to spell.
They're telling you we're going to learn how to spell. Why do they use it that way? Yes, I understand spelling is the actual word. However, there is a second meaning behind casting a spell. And what we say really does cast a spell. I suffer from a small thing called fibromyalgia. However, I tell myself I am strong, I am healthy. And by doing so every single day, I am able to go through my day at a much easier pace. If I ever miss those days, then my body reflects that. And if I ever feel down on myself, my body reflects that. And then as soon as I go back to going into a different mindset, saying that I'm going to call forth my positive energy, I am strong, I am healthy, I am healed, I'm able to go through my days much better.
Exactly. And that's what we were talking about. It's like everything that we're learning, our throat chakra represents expression, whether it's writing, speaking. And what we're doing as children, as we're growing up, we're learning how to spell, we're learning how to be expressive, we're learning how to communicate, not only with everyone else around us, but how we communicate to divine, to the universe, to your creator, to God, to your source, whatever you are feeling aligned and connected to. And so what we wanted to share with everyone is how you use your words, how you possess the ownership of that energy that you're using and your expression will definitely change your life. In fact, when I was teaching back in the day, women's Bible study used to be called agape love. And it means unlimited. It's unconditional love, right? I wanted to share this scripture that stuck with me when I was growing up, but now it even it had more profound meaning to me in a greater depth now in my life. And Proverbs 18:21 says, the tongue has the power of life and death. Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
So if we're speaking blessings, we're speaking affirmations, we're speaking for good tidings to enter someone's life, you're always casting a spell. So when I'm going to share something with you, and I can't say where the story is going to come from, but I'm going to give you an example. When a parent says, you're just a dumbass, you're never going to do anything with your life, you're just a piece of... And so that child was cast a spell by their own mother from their womb into that child. So guess what? Their life force, their belief system, their energy was broken because the tongue has the power of life and death to build up or to tear down. So when I would, communicate with my kids, instead of telling them, oh, you're just a dumbass, I'm like, you are so intelligent that it's time for you to see the power that you have within you. Here, let me show you what tools you can use so that way you can keep going forward, my child. And that was something that I had learned at a very young age because I saw it and I heard of it and I witnessed what would happen to the people that were constantly being told that they weren't good enough, they weren't pretty enough, they weren't smart enough, that they could not accomplish anything. And why even bother? In fact, I even know people that were told that when they wanted to create something, that someone in their family would say, you're not going to do well with it. And guess what happened? That person believed it and they never even went through with it.
And on that note, that's something that I've been told my entire life from different members of either family, friends, people that I look up to, professors, whatever it is. And you're right, I've let that hold me back. There were times that I wanted to start different businesses, different ventures, different investments, and I look forward to somebody that's in my circle that I believe would have a good idea if this is something that I should pursue or not. And based on what they told me, I let that dictate what I did. No longer do I do that. However, I must confess that I have allowed that to happen in my life. I also must confess that I have, unfortunately, spoke with a sharp tongue when I should not have. Not in a mode of defense, but in a mode of just frustration, right? Whether if it was my family, my friends, my children, there are times that I have messed up. However, something that I do like that I have done is anytime that I know that I have done something wrong with my tongue, I immediately go, I apologize, and I then do my best to move forward and to not do that same thing again. So that's something else that we must do, right? With our intentions. We're human, right? So we are going to try our best. However, sometimes we're flawed and we make that mistake. We must not hide behind that mistake. We must not try to make excuses for that mistake. We must own it, be ownership, and then move on from it. This is something that helps us grow, not physically, but metaphysically, spiritually, however you want to label it. It does help us grow as an individual.
Agreed. And and that's what we wanted to talk about was just our words. Especially again, because like I said, we're getting close to Halloween and people are using their words. And how we're using the words, even like on social forums, like I was like, wow, the things that people say to one another. You can either help a person to feel inspired or you can completely take away their flame. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to share with you all about what our words can do. And I wanted to share again, when you're holding an energy, for example, if you're saying, I am successful, I am successful, I am successful, and you're saying the affirmation, you're learning from your spiritualists, from your friends, your YouTube, right? And then all of a sudden, you're not getting the outcome that you want. So your energy, we're all here, right? You're like got this really strong energy, like, yes, I'm going to accomplish, I'm going to be abundant, I'm going to do this, and da-da-da-da. All of a sudden, the bills start coming in. You're not gaining whatever it is that you have posted out there in the world and your expression, your feelings and your thoughts. And then all of a sudden you get broken, you get, human, right? We start questioning and doubting. And then all of a sudden you start dropping the ball, dropping and releasing that energy where you're like now maybe saying, well, what's the point of even trying? It doesn't even work for me. Whatever you say, whatever you think, whatever you believe is what's going to come forward. So if you say I can't, guess what? You aren't.
You're right. So that's something that her and I have discussed not only with our children. We used to have a daycare. So one of the biggest things in my life is I can, right? I have helped children. I have helped adults to say I can, because that is what we can do, is I can say I can. Because if you say I can't, you're right. If you say I can, you're right. So it's all dependent on your attitude and what effort you want to put forward into this universe. And I have helped so many people, and I'm so proud of what these people have been able to do, whether if they were children or adults. I am proud of both, because once you really realize that I can, and that is real,
you can do anything.
You can do almost anything that this world has to offer, right? I can't turn into a pig and fly. That's not something I'm talking about. However, realistic items, right? We want to be able to find one another. We want to be able to have a successful marriage. We want to be able to have a successful business. We want to be able to have a wonderful family. All things that you definitely can do. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about is not only what you have to say, right? But what you allow
others to
say to you and what you feel of it, right? So we always tell our clients and ourselves, we remind, like if I forget, she reminds me. If she forgets, I remind her. If our children forget, we remind. But we also want to make sure that we don't receive anybody's negative intentions, negative spells, negative things, because all of a sudden it affects us. And we don't allow that. So that's when we say something along the lines of, I do not receive your negative energy. My energy is my own and I share it with no one.
Or what my cousin's father taught me at a very young age, very devout Christian. He goes, when people tell you negative things and they want to cut you down, or they can't see past their own 2 feet because you have a greater vision than them, don't let that rob them from you. So he would tell me, he goes, Jess, I want you to say in your mind, and I've been doing this ever since, you say, I cancel that and I replace it with, I am able, I am ready, I am successful, and whatever it is that they said I couldn't do, I tell them, I don't accept that. Like, just so, I want to share something. One of my friends said something he didn't mean to say, or maybe he did mean to say, but I'm going to tell you how I reacted. About 3 years ago, he had said, you know, Jess, you doing this whole practice, this holistic practice, people aren't going to understand it, and they're not going to come to you. So I said to him, I cancel that in the name of Jesus. And I said, that is not true. I said, I am meant to do this work. I've been doing this work for myself, and I've helped many people, and I am going to reach out to those that need me, because they're going to know that there is someone that has gone through their pain, that has struggled, that has suffered, that has had loss, and I'm going to be able to genuinely support them, love them, encourage them, and help them to find the self-healing that they need, just as my mentors did for me and changed my life. Here I am today because of that, because my mentors spoke life into me. And so now I'm living.
And this individual, this friend of ours, right, once that this person did say those words, we've had conversations. She's had conversations with the individual. We've had this conversation with the individual. And all of a sudden, when that person starts to hang out with us more, they start to see things in a different light, and they go, oh, wow, that's right. I can see it this way, right? So even that individual that casted doubt has now seen that there is a possibility.
Yeah.
There is a difference, right? It is all about which energy you're willing to receive. And that is one of the things we wanted to share with you the most. Now, before we let you go, I did want to tell you a little bit about something that I have thought about for a very long time. So we all have our different spiritual gifts. We all have our different abilities, and it's all wonderful and beautiful. Mine happens to be an empath, and I just know things and I just feel things. One of those things is time, and how we perceive time, the way we were taught and versus the way I perceive it. And that's something that we have discussed at length for 7 years, and I can't wait to share that with you.
Yes, we're going to definitely discuss about time and space and how we perceive it, and how we can be in our own space without having to identify to, oh, right now it's 12 p.m. We'll explain all of that later. But we wanted just to share with all of you, remember, everybody, how you allow people to speak to you, cancel that, reject it, and speak your own blessings into your life. And remember, your tongue has the power of life and death. It's how you want to use it.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing this space with us. We had a wonderful time, and have a blessed day.
Love you all. Bye.